The live stream has commenced. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the solution.
And that is 100% correct. If you're watching this podcast, you are the solution. How you doing,
ready, baby? What's going on, Fat Sammy? How you doing?
We're doing good, right? Hope everyone's feeling good after an amazing market situation today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's time to be excited, I think, don't you?
Hey, listen, we've been calling it, right? Like, I mean, you know, the pressure's on, I said the other day, right? The pressure is on. He's got to do it. He can't not do it. It's coming out. We all see it happening. We got Bitcoin dominance just taking a nosedive, like we've been saying. It's just it's right there in front of us. Here we go, man. Just hold on for the ride. You know, see how we can make it happen over the next few months.
100%. And you know, we've been calling kind of what we thought. We've been calling this ETH breakout. We called the XRP breakout before that happened about a month ago, right?
Yep.
And it looks like a pulse might start to move pretty soon, right? That one's lagging behind at the moment, but it's going to move pretty shortly, I think. I know a lot of our viewers are Pulse Chain guys, so welcome to all you guys. Obviously, we got some Pulse Bitcoin viewers. We got a whole bunch of people. I think we got Nexion guys, and we might be joined by some of the Surf Token guys. Nick might be able to pop in today. Hopefully, he does. It's a bit late notice. It's kind of an emergency podcast tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely emergency day. We weren't expecting it, but you know, I figured why not, right? Like, makes sense. We can get some alpha here today. We'll see how the next hour goes, but I think we've got some interesting times ahead of us with a couple of things that we're going to talk about. Yeah,
I mean, we're not really prepped today. I said to Vin, I can't really do this Sunday, so I said let's do next Tuesday, and then obviously we thought, why not go live tonight? The excitement's in the air. We're excited. I mean, I got a text from you earlier this morning to saying LFG, man.
Yeah,
I was at the gym, and I was waiting for my girlfriend to come with me. And I said, look, I've got to be out the gym by 2:30 because this Fed guy Jerome Powell starts speaking at 3, and I've got to be there in front of my computer. I did buy like 50% of my capital before because I was anticipating bullish news. That was a bit of a gamble, right? Because you never know. But I bought when ETH went down to 4,100. I thought, man, this is too sweet, right? I've got to grab this now. But obviously, I wanted to be in my computer defensive in case he came out and said some bearish bullshit. I wanted to be there at my computer, ready to press the sell button in case it nosedived. But luckily, it went the other way. But should we talk about that? Explain to people, first of all, why do you think he made that decision? You hinted about last week, right? Why has he now hinted? He's made no decision yet. Let's make it clear. Jerome Powell, for anyone that's not aware, they had the meeting, right? And that's a lot of international bankers. They meet in, I forget the name, Jackson's Hole?
In Jackson Hole, Wyoming, yeah.
Jackson Hole, not Jackson's Hole.
In Jackson Hole. It's the two spots on both sides of the world where the bankers meet.
Go give everyone a brief of what happened there.
So here's the thing, right? Like, the Fed has to do a balancing act. And what he's talking about now is having to balance inflation against unemployment. Okay. He's still saying there's potential for inflation with his horseshit. Okay. I look at the numbers. You can think for yourself. There are certain ways that there's certain inflation, but it's all relative to the last year and two and stuff. He's thinking because of tariffs that it's going to create this inflationary moment. He's basically trying to backstop the things he said in the past. And it's not working out that way. So if you look at the price of automobiles, and I've been talking about this, the price of automobiles have taken a nosedive. That's the main a leading indicator for the economy. So we're going to see the automotive industry really take off, I think, if we can compound that with getting a tax write-off for finance interest loans on U.S. made cars. So with that happening, we're going to really see a huge economy next year. But what he's saying is there's this potential for inflation because of tariffs. However, unemployment is ripe for cutting rates. So he's playing this.
And sorry, first of all, that does kind of make sense, right? If you bring manufacturing back to US, things are going to be more expensive because the automation process is going to take time. Having these robots build your stuff is going to take time. So
it's not
I feel like the price is going up, right? So
not happening, like he said. He's saying someone in the logistics cycle and the supply chain cycle is going to have to pay for it. Guess what? It ain't America. It ain't us.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So you're saying if Apple, for instance, has to come in and start building their iPhones in the US, if they're making 95% profit on that product, what you're suggesting is no, the consumer won't have to pay the additional cost. The actual producer will have to pay that cost.
That's correct. Right. And another crazy thing, and I say crazy with a humor, is the talk of the past of it's really a political talking point of the job situation. Oh, if immigrants aren't here, they're gonna, all these jobs are gonna be lost on that. Let me tell you something. All the people, I think it was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, there was a huge factory that was just wiped out of immigrants, right? Because they were all illegal. Guess what? The next day, everyone showed up to work. Okay. So don't think for a second that only illegal immigrants can, and I'm quoting here, right, pick the vegetables out of the fields. That's complete nonsense. You got China picking vegetables and picking apples and all that stuff with machines.
We had something in the UK quite a while ago, and it was
same things happen.
In even my dad's generation, they all used to go out to. They used to they were poor working class people from East London. The poorest people. Probably in England, right? Apart from some of the people maybe up north who are also in that situation, but they were working class kids, and they'd never gone on holiday in their life, or vacation, you guys call it. But when they were kind of 17, 16, they would jump on a bus and go out to somewhere like Somerset, and they would all go and pick apples for the summer, right? And then or hops for the beer industry.
Right.
And they would kind of get their lodgings, have a good time, get as much. They get paid often just in cider. Or and a few quid in their pocket, but
it was an experience.
Yeah, and all that stuff's dried up now. It never happens. And,
sure.
And recently we had after Brexit, they were saying, "Well, if you get rid of all the immigrants, who's going to pick the apples?" And you go, "Hold on, mate, wasn't that solution already dealt with?" Back in the 70s and the 80s.
Point, man. It's a political talking point because they want the immigrants to come in and vote a certain way. And I've been saying it for years. People call me crazy. But we've seen it over the last year or two really play out, and especially in America, it's been completely cleaned up, and it's become obvious. And all you got to do is open your eyes, not be an NPC, and see this is the reality. This is what's going on. And now you're seeing it being cleaned up, and you're seeing the economics of it play out now, right? So with the tariffs happening, everyone's saying this crazy war is going to happen in January, February. Let me tell you something. Trillions of dollars are coming into the United States for manufacturing, from not only American companies coming back, but international companies. So America now is going to become the technology hub. We're going to put, because of the policies, China's in trouble. Let me tell you something. Vietnam's getting all China's business. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Vietnam's getting all China. Everyone's going to Vietnam now. So it's an interesting ebb and flow of how we've been seeing this, but it's going to be really exciting.
And for anyone wants to understand what,
you can be more excited.
But you touched on a point there. Kind of a lot of people don't understand. Britain's a brilliant news case right now. So people say,
it really is.
Why are they shipping in millions of immigrants, right? When we don't have the housing, we don't have the infrastructure, and they say it doesn't make sense. There's a political. The average person doesn't want it, so why are they doing it? And there's a really good podcast I recommend everyone listen to, and it's by Aaron Auron McIntyre, and he's on Tucker Carlson. I think it was about 4 days ago, and he explains it extremely well. And they did it in the Roman Empire. They've done it in many empires, and when the state gets so big, the only way they can kind of manage that is by increasing the size of the army. And they did it with the Goths, the Visigoths and the Ostrogoths. And, you know, eventually all the power went to this kind of foreign force. And then the Goths pretty much end up conquering Rome, right? And that kind of replacement theory is what the system does, because then the middle classes, their base population, then becomes a threat to their existence. So I think that's what we're seeing, right? And Trump seems to be pushing back against that. Right. So that's good, at least.
Yeah, and England is in a very unique situation, and it's a I'll say a very interesting situation. Just in the very unfortunate and obvious, and I want to be really careful in how I say this for obvious reasons, but there's been a certain suppressions, you know, in England. You got to be very careful in what you say now, and which flag you fly. Apparently, I just saw like there was just an attack. People were attacked that were hanging.
Yeah, so I was gonna pull that up actually as a story today. Let me tell you what this is about. So, at the moment in the UK, there's been lots of protests against the migrant hotels. I was actually at the very first one. It was local to me, and I was the first person that filmed the first migrant hotel protest. It's on my channel if you dig down there. Not on YouTube because I'd get banned probably, but it's on X. And that got like 90,000 views. I've never had 90,000 views on a video before. And it was just kind of what happened is there was some migrants in the hotel that sexually abused a young schoolgirl. They basically put all these undocumented men in a hotel next to a school, and there's all sorts of sexual crimes been done. The women don't feel safe, the children don't feel safe, and now that's sparked and spread all around the UK at the moment. The summer of discontent.
Tommy Robinson's running everywhere, screaming.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not just kind of the far right. This is normal people upset, right? Worrying about the safety.
Yes.
The knife crimes going for the roof.
Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Doesn't matter what party. It's the safety for your children.
So what's happened after that? I have a few friends who have literally been arrested at these protests. Some of them literally been arrested and they're being charged, and they could face up to 3 years in prison. One of them said, this is not me saying, he said the words "filthy foreigners," and in reference to a crime that was committed. He's now potentially facing prison.
Right.
So anything like that can seriously, they'll say, oh, you're inciting violence and hatred. So now what people are doing, there's a movement called Raise the Flag, saying you've now got British patriots going out all around the country, hanging up the St. George flag or the Union flag,
right?
Because they can't arrest you for that, right? They're trying to. So I think this is a big pushback. I think it started to happen in the US. The British are a lot more polite. We're not the sort of people that like to cause a fuss. We're not like the French. We don't stand up for ourselves very much because we've never really had to deal with adversity before, really. We've never really had to deal with communism. We've never really had to deal with fascism. We've always kind of, we have this phrase kind of, it's like drink your tea and carry on almost, keep calm and carry on. But I think that has been to our detriment. But I don't want to talk about this all night. But I thought it's
I hear you.
Interesting.
I mean, look. Apparently, there are some Middle Easterns that just attacked some English citizens that were hanging up their own national
That's right.
flag.
Yes, that's
so,
right.
I mean, that's just reality. That's just what happened. I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm just telling you what happened. So, howdy, guy. At the end of the day, I think there's a lot of common sense that is coming out, and people. Again, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle. We have children, right? We are trying to build a future for our children, and England is in a very interesting situation because top 10 mayors. It's an interesting scenario that's going on, and it's unfortunate at the same time for people fortunate, for people unfortunate. But we talked about this last time. It's only going to get deeper, and it's getting more intense over there. So
100%.
I hope something happens where that can kind of be like, I don't want to say suppressed, but let's just say, freedom of speech is really important.
It's hugely important. And thankfully, Nigel Farage recently had a meeting with your vice president. His name escapes me at the moment. I apologize. Vance.
Vance, yeah.
About his concerns about the limiting of free speech. Vance actually even mentioned it in the first meeting with the British Prime Minister. He's saying, I'm very deeply concerned about, you guys had it under the Biden administration. Your freedom of speech was slightly the same way your freedom to bear arms was slightly becoming under threat under Obama, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Luckily, that wasn't done, completely. I know you had it restricted in a lot of states, but it's an important issue. And Lucy Letby, I believe her name is, she's a woman that was arrested and put in prison for 2 years for a Facebook post by this communist administration we have here. And she has now got a meeting with JD Vance and possibly Trump on this. So I really do hope that the US does apply pressure, maybe in the form of tariffs against our government to try and force them to stop this, because this is a point where we do need our allies to help us,
Absolutely. And listen, we are allies. We've always been allies. Now, there's something to be said about certain relationships between our countries that people don't really understand, and we can save that for another time because it gets very intense. But now is the time for pressure. You're going to see in American politics right now, there's a lot of pressure being put on. Just this morning, emergency alert, FBI takes Bolton's house and storms into Bolton's house. And who's John Bolton? Well, he's probably one of the biggest war hawks that we've seen in a long time in administrations over the years. Trump said today he's used him to get what he wants because it brings Bolton and it spells war. So, at the end of the day, we see that's not what Trump wants, because over the last 7 months, he's created 7 peace deals, right? He stopped 7 wars. Now, maybe that was set up. Maybe that's just a coincidence. Maybe that's God talking, which I think is. But here we still have a situation where we've got pressure being put on now, and it seems like it's going to start rolling down. Heads are going to start to roll. And right when that happened, what did Kash Patel text on X? He said, "No one's above the law," this morning.
And Kash Patel is that your corrupt? He's the
head of the
FBI leader? Yeah.
And he used to run he was head of counterterrorism. He worked with Trump in the previous administration, and they went after him during Biden administration. They went completely after him.
I thought he was quite corrupt, though. Is he not? Isn't he trying to bury some stuff?
No,
I guess they all are. I guess that's part of the job, right?
Yeah, that's just nonsense that you're listening to. Okay. He's trying to uncover it all. Now, listen, he's not perfect, and Dan Bongino's not perfect, and there's going to be issues. And I hope we bring, the AG from Missouri in. There's a lot that has to happen, and I think a lot's going to change. I think there's going to be a lot of things that's going to change here in the near future. And I say the near future, meaning the next, let's say, 6 to 9 months, that I think are going to surprise a lot of people. And you're always going to get a political spin from the media that's owned by a certain group of people, capital SOROS, right? That's just what's going to happen. They own the media. So now you've got the IRS investigating who? The IRS is investigating the Clinton Foundation, right? For, I don't know, billions of dollars that were supposed to go to Haiti and didn't. And Haiti's 1,000,000 times worse than it is right now. It's coming out, man. It's all coming out. And when you see what's going to happen financially, just wait until you see what happens financially. It's going to be astronomical. And if you're not positioned in the right place, you're going to get a little stuck.
So, I just want to say thanks. Obviously, in this podcast, we do like to shoot from the hip, and we do like to talk about this sort of stuff because for us, we are full-time crypto people. We talk all day about crypto. We're busy developing in the background on projects and trading. But for us, part of our kind of strategy is fundamental analysis. And fundamental analysis does include geopolitics. It does include trends, right? Trends are your friend, not just on the chart, but seeing what's going on in the world. So should we jump in and we are going to talk about a few things tonight. We're going to look at the ETH melt up that we experienced today, and we're going to have a look about Pulse Chain, of course, because we're very bullish on Pulse Chain. And whatever else comes up. Nick might be joining us. Nick from Surf Token. I forget his second name now, but we'll just shoot from there. If anyone's got any questions, I know most of you are watching us on X. Good to see you. But if you do, we can't receive your comments directly on via X. So if you do want to put a question in or a comment or shill something or ask us to have a look at something, just drop it on the YouTube.
And follow Fat Sammy and I on X. I am at Pulse Nation 369.
Yeah, and he actually had his his account pulled down. He built up a nice.
It did.
Few thousand followers.
I had 6,000 followers, and I got hammered by X and just started a new.
You got shit canned, didn't you?
You know what? Here's the thing, man. When you say the truth, this has been my life.
Yeah.
Okay? We talked about it. For my whole entire life, since I'm 13 years old, have opened my eyes to a lot of things, and it made me. I spew it out sometimes, and boy, have I created enemies. I've been the guy that's been right years later. That, oh my God, you were right. I know. My own older kids say, Dad, you were right. This whole time you were right. I know. And it's hard to come back and say that. And it's hard to
you'd rather be wrong, wouldn't you, than right when you're predicting.
A lot of times I'd rather be wrong. I want to be wrong on a lot of things.
Yep.
And that's the really frustrating thing is I can see my background is macroeconomics and geopolitics, and I've seen the intel behind it. I worked at Intel in the Navy. I see what's going on behind the scenes, and I can see the trends. The trend, like you say, is your friend, but until it breaks. Once it breaks, watch out, because everything's off the table. Anything is game. So let's talk about some crypto. Let's talk about what's going to happen. Let's do some.
Let's quickly say hello to MVS Crypto. Thanks, MVS. MVS is the one that's works with Superman, who does the Kryptonite show, who was actually a guest on our last episode, and he also has created the legendary, what I call the Pulse Chain News tabloid. What's it called? The Monster Thread, and that is everywhere at the moment. That is kind of the beating heart of Pulse Chain when that comes out in written form, which is nice, right? So people can see that. It might say, Fat Sammy's done this, or your friend Sammy's done this, or there's a meetup over here. Amazing work. So thank you so much for that. And obviously Pulse Chain News. Yeah, Pulse Chain News. Thank you so much for joining us. Are you the same guy that used to come into some of the X spaces and record those and put clips up? I'm not sure if you are, but thank you for being here. And obviously Crypto Jake, welcome. And yes, of course, I'm going to show a little bit of PLSB, ASIC, and Pulse Litecoin today for those viewers. We haven't covered that recently. So let's jump in without further ado while we wait for Nick. And should we have a look at let's try and do this. I'm a bit rusty, guys. I'm still getting used to being live. So we're going to open up some of the charts and kind of riff on them, right? Where are we? Let's start off with the Russell. So the Russell 2000 looks like it had a really strong close today.
That's a huge move. That's a gigantic move because you could have had a rollover here. And this is going to be making all-time highs. So I'm looking at a 20% move off the top from last year.
And do you want to quickly explain to people what the Russell 2000 is in case they don't know?
It's like the small cap index, the top 2000 small cap index in America.
And it's quite important. It's probably the most relevant one out of I would say, that relates to the crypto market. I think.
It does. It's definitely got some high volatility to it.
Let's have a quick look at the weekly on that one before we move on, because we are a weekly show. Look at that, a nice move up, which is kind of a bearish flag before. Obviously, the MACD moving up, nice bounce off the RSI.
It could have rolled.
It could have rolled. I was worried about it last week. I'm honest, I was worried about it.
Zoom out some more.
There we are.
All right. So the move we're about to make, right, is from 2000. You see just before the COVID dip.
Just for the COVID dip around here.
That little, or no, the next one over to the right.
Sorry, I'm way off. It's 2020, wasn't it? The COVID dip. This one here. That's the
double
COVID
top
dip.
right there, right? So the move that we're about to make, we're right there right now. We're going to make another percentage move, the same kind of move right there, right now.
But you're saying to the upside rather than the downside.
Yeah.
So I see that. Yeah, similar pattern. So what you're saying is that you've got this like that before. You got your retrace,
and then we're gonna have that move up.
And you got your measure move. Let's quickly do a Fibonacci on that one. See what we kind of expect here. So let's just take the top there to the bottom, and what did they achieve on that? They got a 1618 there, pretty much between a 1618 and a 2. Let's measure that one out. See what kind of thing we're gonna get over here. Is that right? No, I always click that one when I don't mean to.
That's your percentage range.
1618. There we are, up to 29. That's interesting. Because I think Tom Lee was calling for 28 the other day.
Right. So
so that fits.
That's your move right there in the small caps in the stock market. That's not crypto.
Yeah. Okay. Talking of crypto, let's have a quick look at. What do you want to do next?
Ethereum.
Let's do Ethereum, the start of the show, right? Yeah, let's do that.
Absolutely. We got all-time highs.
So first of all, I want to quickly show this. I did a presentation on this way back, I would say about 4 months ago. Okay. And I showed this on the weekly chart, right?
We could go.
I know there's lots of drawings here, but in this blue, let's maximize this. In this blue bull flag, I was identifying this consolidation for over 4 years. And I even printed this red projection here, this ghost line. And it's almost followed it exactly. I actually took the inspiration from Leo Lanza. This is not my own creation. I redrew it. And it's been spot on, man. I mean, look at this. So we've consolidated for 4 years in this mega bull flag. You're also in this upward channel in yellow, right? Which is being respected. Now you're in this bull flag, and look at this breakout point. I mean, that's what I'm predicting. So if we, up to around, you can get up to 20K here, 40K. And if we zoom in here on the weekly, we are pretty much spot on with it, even outperforming it, Right. And what's really key is we've broken out of this bull flag. So we're well on the way here. And even if you kind of said, right, let's ignore the bull flag there, even if you come up and hit the heart line of this, of this upward channel, I mean, you're talking $11,000 here, which I think. Oh,
that's the mid run right there.
Yeah, frankly. I think that's nothing.
I got a feeling it's going to break out of 10 and it's not going to look bad. I don't think you're going to get. I think the people that are going to sell at 10, thinking it's going to be a key point, are going to make a big mistake.
Oh yeah, because I think what's happening is here we saw a clear example. Let's go to the daily chart here, and forgive my green arrows. I have to keep them up there because that's where I keep track of my buys.
Hey, at least we know we're buying, right?
Well, at least I'm honest here. But no, I was buying here. I mean, obviously I bought down here, but I only keep the arrows relevant to the last week or so, right? When I close all my positions, I delete all the arrows and start again. But was buying down here, bought here again, had a bit of a panic, sold some of my position, basically bought this green arrow, wasn't sure, sold. I was pretty much sitting US dollar again, bought again here on this bull flag. But what's interesting here is the breakout we've now achieved. We had a fake out before when we first pumped up to the previous all-time high. Fake out of this upward channel. We re-entered. It was possible that if we were in a normal market and this was retail led, like last bull run, we most probably would have come down to at least this target here, this green box, which a lot of analysts were predicting, come back around to 3,400. Bitcoin could have come down to, 1,009, so 100,009. But I think what people are understanding here is we are in a different market. Wall Street is accumulating here, right? Wall Street is accumulating in huge numbers. So you're not going to get these pullbacks when Wall Street is trying to adopt like this. You've got Bitminer, Tom Lee's group, that are basically trying to achieve
it's a big deal
5% of Ethereum. Let's have a quick look at that now.
They're chasing it now. They're already the largest holder. They're chasing it now big time.
They are now already at, where are we here on the top one? They're already at 1.26%. They had a $5 billion budget a few weeks ago. They've just increased that to 15 billion.
Yep.
So they now have a budget of 15. They are acquiring Ethereum at 10 times the rate that Michael Saylor through Maker was accumulating Bitcoin in a more concentrated timescale.
Yep.
So, and they're not just doing it by buying spot market. They're actually buying companies off the stock market that are accumulating ETH.
Yeah, so they've been able to increase their position without increasing their capital.
So a lot of people were confused by that. They were saying, if they're buying this much ETH,
they're using leverage.
Why is ETH already like 10 grand?
Yeah,
and that's what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to the high teens, man. I'm telling you.
And who do you think will be their eventual buyer?
Who's going to buy him?
So you think that. So let's say.
Wow.
Let's say they get to their 10%, point or 15% of Ethereum holdings, right? And all these strategic ETH reserves we see on screen here start to get huge amounts of Ethereum. Who's going to buy it off them? Well, I think a lot of them are going to try and sell it to the US government or other competing governments. They're going to certainly be big buyers because they're not acquiring at the moment, but they certainly will need to eventually.
You're talking about buying Tom Lee's company?
No, I'm saying they'll have to. when they eventually want to offload some ETH, they'll probably be selling it, a lot of it, to the US government.
I got a feeling that that's going to happen. We saw it today. A big move happened today when the U.S. government bought 10% of Intel, right?
Yeah,
because we've got to maintain our semiconductor chips here in the United States. It's a big national.
Yeah, and that's also due to the tariffs, right, that we put on China's chips. Yeah,
I have a really strong feeling that next year we're going to see an exponential growth in the increase of the U.S. government making these 10% strategic investments. We're going to be the crypto capital of the world. We're going to be this, that of the world. We're going to be that of the world. There's going to be a lot of that going on, and we're going to see a massive, massive move. Here's the thing, and you got to remember this. When it happens next year, that might be an exhaustive top because of the amount of buying that comes in. We might not be able to see a continuation of that amount of buying. So you might want to sell some into it. You might want to, reallocate your life.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, but at the moment, I think we're still in the stage. I mean, we're a weekly show, right? So if anything changes, we're going to let you know. But I think we're still in the very bullish stage. I think what we're trying to do is wake people up to how bullish we actually feel about this. So obviously, the Pulse Chain SAC here. Obviously, I was very critical at the time.
Any movement? We got a little tickle there anywhere?
I was critical of Richard buying the 3,800 price. I think he. We all know you should dollar cost average in, right? He just FOMO'd in at 3,800. Who knows what was going on in his life at the time, but that's what he did. But look, we're about $230 million in profit now with the Pulse Chain SAC money.
Yeah, listen, that was a strategic move for legal reasons. It had nothing to do with trying to time the market.
Right. Okay. Tell us about that. Yeah.
It was a legal issue. He's 100% had to put that in Ethereum. It had to do with the lawsuit with Pulse Chain.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
It was breaking out, but it was very overbought while it was that breakout. So it was a wick. I mean, we kind of saw it. It had to have been legally. This was the right strategic move to do.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense to me because I did wonder why he just YOLO'd the whole lot in at that point. And I do agree. I messed up as well because I remember buying pretty much.
Followed him.
No. I actually front run him a little bit. I remember going YOLO into Ethereum when it was around 3,200. I remember telling you it was quite some time ago. I can't remember when it was, and I was stuck underwater.
I remember
half a year.
What do we do? Yeah,
for half a year. So I was feeling his pain at the same time.
All right, we're all good. And Pulse Chain is the move, man. Pulse Chain, it's gonna
number 5 on the list. Still number 5.
Gonna exponentially make a layer 1 first cycle bull run move here.
Let's get some comments up quickly. Popcorn and smiley face from Crypto Jake, another Pulse Bitcoiner, and Crypto Bros AI solid renounced time-tested code meets cutting-edge DeFi.
Right on.
Nice.
I'm
not sure. I guess you're just referring to general DeFi products, which we all. And by the way, Crypto Bros is one of the devs for the Flux farms. They have.
Okay.
I think it's Nexion.pulse. Search Flux farms, it shows up, and they have a lot of yield farming. They have offered us a Pulse Bitcoin. They've given us a Pulse Bitcoin farm, a Pulse Litecoin farm, an ASIC farm, and also there's Vox farms there. So check them out. Big shout out to you guys, and thanks for tuning in, Crypto Bros. If you ever want to come on and do an interview, you're welcome. Doors open to you, sir. And thank you for reposting the stream, brother. Thank you. Welcome, Shin. Good to see you, man. Long time no see. Well, I think I spoke to you a few weeks ago, but God bless you. Right, so we've just finished our Ethereum analysis here, but yeah, let's quickly look at the daily because this is the star of the show today. We're so excited about this one. So on the day, let's go 2-day. It's a bit clearer. Let's go 2-day. It shows us a bit more vision here. So obviously over here on the left, as I'm sure you're all aware, this is the big bad boy we need to take out back from November of 2021. Fireworks today because look at that. It was actually taken out. Yeah, just you can't see it. You can't see it that much, but I can show you. The white line represents it. We did wick above it, and I do believe again because we've broken out this channel.
The day's come to an end. The market's closed. It's Friday at the end of the day.
We've moved up 15% in one day, right?
I think we're going to stabilize and sit flat and do nothing for the weekend and then take off next week.
Well, I disagree. Well, we'll see who's right next week, right? It's a friendly bet, right? So I think we're going to do something like this on Saturday, right? I think we're going to bounce off the top of this one.
Right
Instead
there.
of last time we fell through, I think this time we're going to bounce off on Saturday, and I think we're going to have a late Sunday afternoon pump.
It's going to be no volume. It's going to be in the middle of the night when no one's really watching, and it's going to be a wick that you forgot about.
Well, I think what I'm saying is and I saw Mitch Ray earlier. I agree with him.
That to me is sitting flat, going nowhere. You're right.
I think 5K is going to come sooner than you think, and I think why do I say this? So what's happened the last? So
Monday or Tuesday? Which one?
So what I'm saying is, so the last few weeks, since Ethereum's been pumping from 1,500, right, we've seen a change in trend. We start to see the pump coming on a Sunday afternoon at my time.
You know why?
Sunday at your time. People front running the Monday morning market, right?
Hong Kong and Singapore are awake.
Okay. So what I expect here is probably a front run of the Monday morning markets again. I think we'll probably see a Sunday pump at least to 5,100. I think they're going to try and break that while everyone's not paying attention. Because one thing I've noticed about Ethereum, this is what we call, right, a V-shaped recovery, right? And what is the purpose of a V-shaped recovery? Well, the idea of it is to fudge you out so bad. And Richard Hart used this tactic before with Hex. They want to fudge you out so bad that you think, oh my God, it's all over. You know, people like myself that bought up here, around here, they want us to give up. So they dump it till you capitulate. Then the composite operator comes in and they launch hard and fast because it costs them billions of dollars to push this chart up. They don't want to give you a chance to catch up. They don't want to go up in a leg, allow retail to catch up in a leg. No, they want to move it fast to leave you behind. This is a very clear market manipulation move, in my opinion.
Absolutely. It's the market maker stepping away from the bid is what it is.
Yes. And I personally think they're not going to hang around too long because, you know, again, what did we see a few days ago? We saw that pump up to previous all-time high. People are expecting a huge sell-off at least down to 3.6 thousand. It didn't happen. You weren't given the chance. Tom Lee came in and bought at 4,100.
It's over, man. You're chasing it now. It now. We're going up 45-degree angles straight to the
so
right.
let's talk some targets before we move on. So my first targets here are 5,600. So in the short term, in the next few days, I'm looking at 5,100. And then after that, I'm looking at 5,600 to 6,000 over, let's say, before month end. That's in the next week. And then after that, my medium targets are 8,800 to 11,000, definitely by end of year. What's your opinion, Vin?
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. I think when we get to the teens, we're going to be into the middle of next year. But I think we're going to have a surprise. We've had some suppression over the last year or two, and I think it's all going to come out in the wash now, and we're going to see an overreaction per se in the FOMO and the bull market that we got coming. So it'll be good. I think you're right on there.
Okay, let's next have a look at Bitcoin. Let's see how Bitcoin is doing compared to it. So let's zoom out. We're on the 2-day chart here. Obviously, now this is an interesting line here. I want to draw attention to this red line. This one is often overlooked, and I got this one from Wolves in Crypto. Very interesting resistance line here. It's kind of been floating around here. It's kind of been rejected off, bounced off of, respected here in this kind of cone shape. And for me, it was like to be truly bullish on Bitcoin, I want to get above that one. And now we zoom in. We're in this kind of range, right, between the blue areas here.
Right.
So even though we've seen Ethereum, you know, break out at this point, or at least kind of get to the level of previous all-time high, right up here, Bitcoin's kind of lagging. But I think that's okay, right? Ethereum can still surge while we range here.
It depends on the time frames that you're looking at, right? Because you can say Bitcoin is leading it because it's already made its all-time highs, breaking out of 100,000 or breaking out of even the 69,000 of last top, right? Where now it's doubled that already. And Ethereum has really been the lagger until just right now. So if you're looking at today, and you're looking at what the chart's looking like, yeah, I mean, Ethereum's leading the way because Ethereum has got more buy pressure from Tom Lee than Bitcoin does from Mike Saylor.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, the argument I was hearing about a month ago was, okay, Bitcoin needs to break out of this consolidation for ETH to really move. And I think, yeah, what we're seeing is now a shift. So I'm sure you've seen that chart, guys. It's kind of you get the bear market, then you get the Bitcoin market, then you get the ETH market, and then you get the altcoin market. And we were going to call this show altcoin seasons here, but I don't believe it is. And a good example is this is Ethereum season because, you know, if I look at all my trades at the moment outside of Pulse Chain, because I have separate bags for that. If I look at all my trades, which one's been the most profitable? It's ETH. ETH is outperforming all my altcoin positions. So I think what I might do is redistribute some of that money back into ETH. Let ETH have its run. And then when ETH's topped out, that's when you're going to get, I think a lot of people in Pulse Chain right now, for example, they're quite frustrated. They're saying, ETH's going up. Why aren't my bags going up? I mean, let's have a quick look at.
Well, they've had a good day today. I mean,
they've had a good day, but okay, they're looking better now, but they've underperformed, I would say, from what people expect.
It's still no real big breakout move that you're saying, oh man, here comes the 100x.
Yes. So a lot of people, in a lot of people's minds, they're thinking, okay, we're so oversold on Pulse Chain. You know, we're now in ETH is now breaking above. Rich is making a few $100 million. Now I'm expecting, you know, a lot of people are saying this is it. So they're expecting if ETH does a 15%, they're expecting Hex to go and have a 30% day, or Pulse to have a 25% day. Now let's break this down for people. Why this is not happening, in my opinion, it's because Richard is sitting in his ETH positions, right? He needs to extract as much value from ETH price appreciation as possible. If he takes money now and drip feeds it into Pulse Chain, it's going to get sold off by sharks. They're going to eat his money. They'll retrace his chart and then take the money back to ETH and make it themselves.
Yeah, it's not time yet.
So what needs to happen is you have to allow the process to go through. Allow ETH to moon. It's not even started mooning yet. Allow ETH to moon. When it starts to moon, you start to see that SAC address being $1 billion in profit, then you can start to say, right, now we might start seeing drip come through.
Right. That's when you're going to see it just.
But what we'll see now is because of this chart and these technicals, you will start to see sharks. So let me give you an example. Let's say Vin Luck made $30,000 on the market today. Let's say I made 10,000. Let's say there's another 3,000 hexagons that had the same situation. We're almost probably going to start to DCA into these assets, trying to front run Richard's move. So I think that's what you're going to start to see over the next few months. It's not going to be Richard directly or any of these. Well, we can't say Richard because that's legally not correct. But
I think when we get around to Ethereum 10,000, you're going to see people thinking that 10,000 is the number, you know, and starting to rotate. We're going to start to see that rotation happen, and we might see Bitcoin dominance, you know, do its final bottom move and then do that sideways chop when the whole things really just explode. So
should we stick with Pulse Chains? But I think a lot of our audience here is Pulse Chain. So yeah, I mean, I'm really bullish on Pulse Chain. Obviously, we're in this kind of suppressed area here, which is very frustrating for a lot of people. It feels like we've been here forever, right? But obviously, this is a beautiful chart. You see this lovely bounce off this ice line here, a second confirmation bounce. So we've seen a higher low. Now we've seen a higher high, and now obviously we're getting some resistance here. But once this resistance is broke, there's a clear 132% move. So it won't be long to you're outperforming ETH, right? You don't even need to be in altcoin season to outperform ETH with an asset like this, which has been so oversold. So yeah, I'm very bullish on it. PLSX, let's have a quick look at that. Kind of in this again. Well, I'll let you talk about this one.
I mean, that's a classic wedge, man. It actually looks better than Pulse Chain. You know, it's burning better probably. Is it a high? You know, the only concern that you can come up with for it is it's relative to its peers. It's a large market cap. But I got a feeling that this time not going to matter. I think the network effect, Metcalfe's law, is going to take into effect more than ever before. And I think we're going to see a big change in the way that crypto is viewed and that the market caps are accomplished, let's just say. So this is the Metcalfe's law cycle, and there's a reason for it. And it's not really a pulse chain per se. It's more of an XRP and Bitcoin issue. But this is the cycle where Metcalfe's law is going to probably really take into effect. And if you do the math on that, in the future, you'll probably see that when Metcalfe's law is actually accomplished is a top signal, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
Remember I said that.
You did, mate. You did. And actually, talking about, you just mentioned something interesting there that I wrote in my notes that I want to mention. And now this is so so obviously you're talking about some fundamentals right now. You're not just talking about a chart here. You're talking about
right. So for those who don't understand, Metcalfe's law is basically the amount of users squared. Right. So the amount of users that are using a specific network, specifically in telecom network, which is what crypto is, it's the amount of users squared. So just take that number and there's your market.
It's similar to compound interest, how that works, right?
No, it's just you're squaring it's times itself.
Yeah,
right?
So you're saying if one person knows about something, tells his friends, then 4 people know, and they tell 4 friends. No? And
then 4 people, and then four,
so square,
something like that. Yeah. But you're squaring it where if there's 1 million users, you're going to do 1 million times 1 million, and that's your market cap.
Yeah.
Right. So that's basically what it is. And at the end of the day, we're seeing now, and this is why the market cap is going to be different than in the past because of adoption, because of the adoption cycle, because of the institutions adopting blockchain and crypto, because of RWA, real world assets coming in, being tokenized, right? All the tokenization that's happening on the different chains. XRP tokenization is going to be insane. Where everything gets tokenized, real estate's going to be tokenized, stock market's being tokenized. There's a lot of stuff that's being tokenized. And this whole network effect now is going to start to kick in where you're seeing the amount of users growing exponentially compared to where you used to be.
So on that point, right, before we go into XRP and the network effect there, which is a really interesting subject, I wanted to make some notes about this because, so you mentioned, obviously, we look at the charts here. We've described that we both agree that Richard might delay, SEC funds or borrowed funds against SEC funds, might not come in directly. I think he's going to allow people like us, people like our audience, to see the chart, give them a chance to start accumulating now before that money comes in. So let's talk about this marketing drive he's doing. I've got some notes on this because I was in a meeting the other day with Frank, the famous psychologist who's on the recent what's it called, the Hex conference, and I was also talking to Crispy Man, who I'm sure you all know. And Crispy Man was very kind, and he gave us a presentation on this. And I'm sure I think he's already done a show on it. I think he's doing multiple shows on this. And he kind of broke down. A lot of people are going to kind of undermine this. Okay, so there's 200,000 units going out to, and we assume it's targeted, right? We assume it's targeted. Richard was the email spam king early on. He's got a big marketing background. He's had lots of years to sit by himself. Been on Europe's most wanted list. He's probably sitting in a castle in Russia somewhere. So he's got lots of time to think for himself, lots of time to plan. And he's no fool. He's no fool by any means. So I think he's planned this out very carefully. And what Crispy Man's saying is, so first, a lot of people are speculating on what these units are. Are they some sort of wallet with some, the PDI guys are going, it's got 1,000 PDI in. And it's going to whatever you think it is. I don't really care. It's not the point at this point.
Right.
What's interesting in some of the research he did was saying, number one, direct mail being the most effective form of marketing. And he said this before, hasn't he? Multiple times in streams.
Yeah.
And when Crispy Man crunched these numbers, it was hugely interesting because he said, when you send one of these to people, I'm going to get the numbers all wrong here, but if you send them a flyer, for example, you've got like 100x read rate than sending someone an email, right? The same way as if you call someone, you've got a much better rate than sending them an email.
Sure.
But then when you actually, even I'm sure we all had it. You open your post box and you've got the local gardener saying, oh, I'll mow your lawn, I'll tidy up your garden. It's $20 an hour. And I know 80% of you just throw that in the bin, but 20% of us, I remember in my local area thinking, oh shit, we're actually in desperate need of a gardener. So that works, right? And before you know it, everyone down the road, he's got 4 jobs on that road. So we know
they're also talking to their friends and the network effect of 7 people who know 7 people who know 7 people around the world.
So first of all, the idea of getting that into your hands. Let me just quickly go onto the camera here. Yeah, the idea of getting that into your hands is hugely important. Another thing is, it's not just going to be a flyer. It's going to be something quite visually interesting. It might be a box. It might be some sort of card. Oh, he's back. Send him back. It might be some sort of card. I imagine it's going to be some sort of. I'm not sure if you've seen them, Vin. They're like credit cards, but they almost like have a hologram, a talking video on them. So I think it's definitely going to be something visually interesting. I don't think it's going to be just something cheap that someone will throw away. It's going to be something dynamic, which I think 90% of people are going to at least have a look at it and probably put on their kitchen counter. Now, and then they were doing some numbers on this, and they said someone that gets something, most people treat it as a gift psychologically when they're given something of value. So if you're given something above $5, $10, or something creative or something which you haven't seen before, you're most probably going to keep it in your house and leave it on the kitchen counter. And then you're going to see that about 1,000 times a year. And even if you don't want it, you're probably going to give it to your grandson. Oh, he knows crypto. Oh, or talk to your neighbor about it. So this network effect of 200,000 people, let's say half of them don't dispose of it instantly, which I don't believe it would be that low. But I think the brain's starting to work here on how powerful this might be. What's your opinion on that?
I think a lot of them might very well sit on the kitchen counter or the table or whatever, and just sit there for a while, and then someone's just going to see it. But I think he's going to do. I don't think he's just going to do like regular postcards, like you're saying. I think it's going to be something that's going to be innovative. He's too smart to just send stupid postcards, man. It's going to be something that's going to be a machine of some kind. It's going to be something that's not going to be seen before, that people are going to really wake up to and pay attention to, and at least look, right? And we'll see the Google searches for hex and all of a sudden start to go up, and that's when you know it's working. Here, that's when you know it's working.
Yeah, I'm really sorry for Ethereum.
So one of the things I want to talk about is the financial system that's changing, right? Because that's
actually. Can I tell you what? Are you prepared to do a 2-minute speech while I use the bathroom?
Yeah, go for it.
After that, yeah, I'm sure. I know you can do it. You're used to this shit.
All right, so here's what's coming, right? So the XRP situation is very real, and I've been talking about this for a long time. And I remember the day I used Western Union a lot, and Western Union used to be a standard Fed wire, and it'd take 3 days to get from America to Vietnam. And I remember the day it took 30 seconds, and I immediately how is this possible, right? And I realized Western Union's contract with XRP. Now, I'm a Pulse Chain sacrificer. I've been in Pulse Chain for a long time, and it's really where I got all my followers. I hosted Twitter Space that had Richard on, back in the day, and we had great debates, and Tangent was on debating Bitcoin with Richard, and we had all kinds of cool stuff. And I'm the guy that said, I said, Richard, we got to have like a gold-backed stablecoin. He's like, nah, I want a crypto-backed stablecoin. So long story short, my background is macroeconomics and banking, and I was a strategic banker, strategic finance consultant for high net worth individuals. I did a lot of gatekeeping, and I had some experiences that were just off the hook. And I've seen the progression of the system change, and what you're seeing now in XRP is very real. Okay, it's not merged, but it's partnered basically with the SWIFT system. The SWIFT system is a messaging system, your MT103, 199, whatever, right? And that's how the bankers speak to each other on a secured basis, so they can talk banking language and move money, right? Because it's got to be done with communication for specific reasons. So a lot of things that I did was basically compliance and gatekeeping on a lot of bank contracts and debt contracts and Western European debt contracts. And these are billion-dollar contracts. And ultimately, I've seen how the system works over the many, many years in structured finance and bank instruments and all this stuff. And now what I'm seeing is XRP all of a sudden becoming the Fed wire, right? That's what's happening, plain and simple. What most people don't understand is you can't have it's a money laundering thing. You have to have the same amount of money on the receiving bank that you do on this that's coming in. So you can't, this receiving bank can't take $1 billion in if it only has, let's say, $500 million, right? So what do you have to do? You have to plant yourself with that same amount of capital in the same currency. So they're going to have the same amount of XRP that they're bringing in. So that's not happening yet. Banks have all contracted up. There's a lot of banks that have said yes and signed contracts with Ripple and all this, but they've not engaged yet. They've not started to capitalize the XRP yet in their system because the Fed wire is still what's being used. So here's the thing, and this is why you got to get your XRP bag now, get it off the exchanges. Okay, there's two things that can happen. One, it gets institutionalized. What does that mean? Well, guess what, retail? You can't buy XRP anymore. This is this is fully now solely an institutional play. Anyone that has XRP, you've got your XRP. It's on hopefully your Call wallet, your Zaman wallet, your Bitfrost wallet, whatever it is, in your Trezor, get it off. But it's not an exchange, because if it's on an exchange, it's going to get pulled from you. It might happen in a matter of hours. It might happen in a matter of minutes or days. We don't know. But if they institutionalize it and say XRP is now only for banks, guess what? XRP is now only for banks, and you can no longer buy XRP. You can only sell it. And just like being taken off the gold standard in the 70s, there's a good possibility that the exchange will automatically sell it without your knowledge, without your authorization, because they've been mandated to by the government, by the Treasury, right? So that's a very, very serious possibility that I want everyone to take very, very seriously. Get your XRP off the exchange, get into a cold wallet, get it onto Trezor, get it off book, whatever you got to do, but just off an exchange. Because there's a very, very big chance, and this is something that some people are talking about it, but not most people are realizing how important this situation is, because the structure of the banking system is changing. The fundamentally structured system is no longer a wood stick house, right? This is a metal frame, titanium frame house now. So you're burning down the wood stick frame house and you're building a complete new one, and there's no more wood. So that's what's going on right now. And in the future, there's another thing that might happen that we all know has kind of been going on, and not a lot of people like to talk about. But when they print Tether, boy, does Bitcoin pump. Now, Europe has said they're going to they're trying to ban Tether, and this whole thing with USDT's going on. If there's a Tether explosion, I smell the next financial crisis. And be careful with your Bitcoin, boy, because that's going to change. The whole world's going to change when that happens. That could be the black swan event. I'm telling you right now, the next black swan event could very well be Tether explodes, pummels and goes to zero, and it completely affects Bitcoin in a very negative way, and it affects everything else that's attached to Tether, because they've been printing Tether and then pumping Bitcoin from it.
Yeah, there's another problem with Bitcoin at the moment. I'm not sure if everyone's heard about this. So currently you have two mining companies that now have 51% of the mining power. So Richard Hart spoke a long time ago about the possibility of a 51% attack on the Bitcoin network. That is now possible. That is now completely possible. Those two companies can destroy Bitcoin.
They can see. Here's the thing: they can do it. It'll just cost them a lot of money.
It will cost them a lot of money, and a lot of people say, well, why would they do that? But that's not the point. The point isn't why would they do that. It should be a warning shot across the bow that their system has vulnerabilities. It's already had it before in the past. It could happen again. That's enough to scare off serious investment.
Dude, you can have futures and perpetual accounts all over the world that are shorting it at the same time. Whatever it's going to cost them, they're going to make it back. Their statistics. They're going to do the math. Their actuaries are geniuses. They're going to do the algo math, and they're going to know how many futures they got to sell. They got to go short, and they can do it in exchanges all over the world in both perpetuals and the futures markets. So they can buy the short ETFs. They can buy the inverse. There's all kinds of things they can do to hedge themselves exponentially on the downside. So
I just want to interrupt you quickly, Vin. If anyone has any questions to this, we've only got, I think we've got 45 people live on X watching now, so welcome. But on YouTube, we only have around 4, and only the people on YouTube are the ones that can comment. So if you do have a question, drop it in the X comments of this.
Yeah, please do.
And we'll try and get to it. We'll try and pick it up and get to it. But I think what we're trying to say here is I agree with Richard Hart that ETH is now a far more serious investment,
absolutely,
than Bitcoin. And I think XRP is a better payment system. So I think you are going to see those two really shine.
And Pulse Chain is an exponential multiplier of Ethereum. So
yeah, I agree.
If all you own is Ethereum, Pulse Chain, and XRP, hey, listen, I'm not your financial advisor. I'm telling you what I'm doing, not telling you what to do. But I'm buying as much XRP, Pulse Chain, and Ethereum as I possibly can. And for me, Ethereum is the safer store of value application kind of thing.
And Pulse Chain, you got to remember, right? It's same with Pulse Bitcoin, right? With Pulse Bitcoin, that's pretty much we did a 21x on the Ether side this year, a few months ago. And how did we do that? Well, it's because we all bought ETH. I told you before, we bought it at 3,200. But then what did we do? We went to Aave protocol. We borrowed against our position, and then we doubled down at 1,500 and bought it all the way up. And I'm telling you, Richard Hart is far more wealthy than small players like us, right? And he was an early Bitcoin miner. He's probably a huge Bitcoin whale. He's a huge ETH whale without even seeing Pulse Chain Stack being, what is it, the 5th largest holder now. His own private funds plus Godwell, his friend, and multiple other friends he has. They are probably absolutely huge. So as soon as they want to pull that trigger, you're going to see a God candle just send Pulse Chain, and it's going to be a huge correction, and it's going to blow people's minds. So this is why we do invest in Pulse Chain. I know we talk a lot about ETH and we talk about XRP, but as this cycle migrates, you're going to see more focus go on to Pulse Chain. But the only reason we're talking about more ETH and XRP is because what we're trying to tell people is make your money outside the chain and bring it to Pulse Chain when it's really going to pop. I don't just sit there thinking, oh, it's going to pop any day. You might be slightly disappointed. Yes, it's going to move up with retail. Yes, it's going to move up with the sharks coming in. But yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, look, it makes perfect sense. I'm very, very skeptical right now of the shots across the bow that we're talking about with Bitcoin. It's very, very mainstream, and that just seems like a perfect storm scenario with what we're talking about here between the 51%, what they can do now to it, and the tether situation. Listen, I don't wish for a black swan or anything, but I just see what's going on. And
we'll all be wrecked. And let's go on over. When we say this, we're not trying to encourage. We're not, some of those ETH people. You even see it with. I used to see it with PLS guys. They would FUD Ethereum. Go, oh, Ethereum is a piece of shit. Pulse Chain is the better Ethereum. You kind of go, look. I love the sentiment of what you're trying to do, but you completely misunderstand the situation. It's like you need a strong ETH. You need ETH. ETH is your horse at the Grand National. You need that horse to overtake Bitcoin this cycle or next cycle. It needs to start catching up with Bitcoin. Once people realize that it's the smarter way to do things, then yes, you can then have an extremely strong Pulse Chain, which will happen this cycle. But it's Pulse Chain is a nuance of ETH. So just imagine what's going to happen when ETH is at 20K. Just people seeing that SAC fund money at that price. It's going to be colossal, guys. So I think you're guaranteed to get your 100x, in my opinion. Not financial advice.
Yeah, just be smart about it and don't be trigger happy. Have patience.
Yeah, and I think I'm definitely going to ask Saint Wolf to come on next week. If anyone else has got any other suggestions or any friends that want to come on, we're happy to talk to anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. But, listen, we're Devin here. We're actually building some things behind the scenes that are going to be pretty cool. We're going to be building the new ASIC miner where you can actually start launching your own tokens using ASIC. That's going to be a mining situation. I'm building a mint.
Yeah, let me quickly tell people about that before we move on. So as you know, I'm the community leader for Pulse Bitcoin. we kind of took over that project. We were long, or even Vin Luck with me was on the first videos promoting Pulse Bitcoin, because it was a very revolutionary DeFi Bitcoin, same tokenomics as Bitcoin. Was really kind of getting some headwind. It was the top traded Pulse Chain altcoin for a few weeks on Pulse Chain. We were doing really well before Pulse Chain even launched. And unfortunately, we had some bad characters, some bad whales. Basically, just wrecked the project. Was selfish. We've all seen it in Pulse Chain, right? We've all seen it. We've seen good projects be abused by bees. So it was kind of, it had a 95% retrace. We all still liked it. We came back in and said, no, let's rescue this thing. So we've done a pretty good job so far. We've managed to lock up on the ETH side around almost 40% of the supply, and we've locked it for an average of 7 years at this point. We recently took 1 million tokens and locked them up for 13.3 years. We plan to do another 1 million lockup. So you're seeing a nice uptrend on the Ethereum with Pulse Chain, because we're tied to USDC on Ethereum, right? So we can kind of go at our own pace, and we're also recession proof, bear market proof. So watch for, I would say, at the end of this bull run, watch for multi-millions of dollars to come over to Pulse Bitcoin on the ETH side, because it's a safe place, because it's paired with USDC. We're not going to suffer impermanent loss when the market's crashing.
Yep.
I would expect to see hundreds of thousands of dollars of liquidity there, possibly locked. And like Pulse Doge, you remember Pulse Doge? It did a 9x 3 times when Bitcoin was crashing. So that's kind of the utility we see with the ETH side of it. A lot of people say, why do you bother keeping up a Pulse Chain ecosystem on the ETH side? Well, we do it for the same reason that Richard Hart used to try and encourage his Hex whales. He kept saying, why do you keep pairing with ETH? My vision for Hex was that it doesn't go down and retrace 97% in a bear market. His whales didn't listen to him. They paired with ETH, and then it suffered like everything else. Right. So what we're trying to do here is keep our ETH side open with USDC, so it's a safe place to store value, because that's the point of Bitcoin, is to store value, especially in a bear market, which now Bitcoin doesn't even do, right? So there isn't really many tokens that can rise in appreciation, but also not retrace as badly in a bear market. So that's the mission statement for it on the ETH side. On the Pulse Chain side, we did have some nice pumps, but I think a lot of people were kind of going, oh, what's going on at the moment? Well, that side will be pumped when the timing is right. It's all about timing. But the interesting thing we have now is the ASIC mining token, only around 19 million on each chain, and burns itself. You mine in 30-day sessions, and at the moment you can mine Pulse Bitcoin and Pulse Litecoin, the better Bitcoin and the better Litecoin. You're getting around 48% APR on that, and you can go to emit.farm on the Pulse chain and use loads of DeFi resources. You can go to 2Fucks by Fast Abdul, and you can basically just lock your tokens together and earn extra yield. So we really are kind of the DeFi option for a better version of Litecoin, a better version of Bitcoin. That's kind of what we're trying to do. We did the better version of Doge, and what we're working on now with Vin is essentially allowing, let's say you're a dev out there and you have a lovely idea for a token, but you don't necessarily have, we all know how hard it is, right? You have a great idea, you try and launch a token, you've got no audience. So I'm creating a platform where you can actually plug into our users and say, I don't know, I want 20% of this token I'm minting to be available to myself and my team, but I also want 80% of it to be available by the Pulse Bitcoin and Pulse Litecoin miners. So that's kind of what we're working on there, hey Ben, pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean, there's going to be a lot of different kind of applications that people are going to, want their tokens, whatever their applications are for their business or whatever. We see token creation in the future is going to be much more of a practical application, right? Just like the stock market has been for a long time. And so we're gonna actually make a nice minting hub for ASIC, so people can do that. We're also building a minting hub on the XRP ledger as well, using the EVM sidechain, which is now live. So that front end is being built. And then of course, we might launch our prediction model crypto on and go down the minting road, because it's a very deflationary tokenomics on it. And we might, or might not, we might just launch it. We're not really sure yet. So, we are looking for some trusted back-end devs that might be in the ecosystem that want to work with us on doing this. So we've got some really interesting front ends that we've been building, and it's really coming together. There's a couple of cool things that are going to be happening. So, we'll let everyone know as we move
Yeah,
forward.
we'll talk about it more. We obviously don't want to give away the secret sauce too much, but we have got some interesting stuff. I mean, we've got the Christian Crusade project going on, which I think
there's
a lot of Christians. That's going to be great.
There's an interesting, let's say, movement that's starting, and it absolutely is a Christian knight movement that's going to stop the AI Antichrist. That's one thing, and another is the meme coin behind it. Frankly, is the King's Crusade. That's going to be a full-on pulse tires meme coin. That's going to happen. I got my daughter jumping on my lap, and that's going to be cool because they're both going to be tied together. So if you are a believer and you do think that there's a lot to believe there as far as Jesus goes, as far as God goes, and see what's going on in the revivals around the world, specifically in America, then this is going to be a place for you. There's only going to be 144,000 tokens that are going to be launched. So when I show it to you, you're going to read it and you're going to see it. Yeah,
and this is basically a way that we're seeing AI being used. Because I say we are a bit conspiratorial on this podcast.
That's going to be fun. I'm gonna do it for the sake of doing it because someone's got to. But for the most part, I think it'll be interesting, and we'll just see what happens. And we might have created literally the next crusade that is taken over.
I mean, I'm not a Christian myself. I kind of used to be, kind of float around. I do like some of the Christian values. I do think Jesus was a very inspirational character. And I do believe, for me, he definitely tied into the ether of enlightenment. Right. So for me, even though I'm not a Christian, I definitely represent, I call him the entity, which is Jesus, is definitely something holy.
And I don't think you need to be Christian necessarily to be a part of it. It's the morals and the values and the way that you live your life that's going to be the most important in it. And when you read the creed that we have, I've got a codex that's written and a creed and a whole ritual system that basically will basically allow us to have what we need to create the next crusade is what it is.
And I think one thing we agree on is that and Vin Luck and I spoke about this on a phone call, and I've used this reference many times, and I've had it a lot because obviously in my circles we were protesting against the vaccines and the lockdowns.
Oh yeah,
back in 2020 and 21, and a lot of my friends in the kind of what we call it the freedom movement, but pretty much there was a bunch of conspiracy theorists like myself who were conspiracy theorists for 10 years, and then we kind of suddenly found a swarm of allies all of a sudden because of all these people realizing they were living under tyranny with these vaccines and these lockdowns, and a lot of people came in and they were keep cash alive. Resist the digital dollar, resist the programmed dollar, which will be used to control you. They reference China. If you like we're seeing in my country, if I say the wrong thing, I am blocked. I am possibly put in prison. So a lot of people are obviously concerned about centralized digital currencies, where if I'm on this podcast and seen to be saying things that go against the system, then yes, my money might be shut off. So a lot of people,
the truckers, right?
Like the truckers in Canada. So a lot of people in my circle, they say to me, "Sammy, you're a crypto guy. You're working for the enemy." And I say the same thing as we said before. This is a technology which is going to be used. If you refuse to engage with it and say, "I'm just going to use cash. I'm just going to use gold," and you say cryptocurrency is something which the elites are going to manipulate and use against me for my freedom, well, you've already lost. It's the same way we said the other day. If you're a native Indian and the Americans are coming over the hill to take your land and have firearms and you're trying to shoot with them with bow and arrows and they've got cannon, you're eventually going to lose. So you have to grab the rifles yourself, maybe make some deals, realize it's a technology. The technology is not what's trying to kill you. It's the application of the technology. So if your enemy is using a technology, aka blockchain, then you use that to the best of your ability. The same thing with AI. If you think AI is demonic or you think it's going to remove jobs, which it will, well, don't just not use it and put your head under the sand.
Do something.
Be better at it than the enemy. Because I'll tell you one thing about the free market is people in DeFi and people in the free market, we're a lot smarter than those slow-moving idiots in government. And,
listen, we're going to be fighting fire with fire, swords with sword. You have to. We don't have a choice. We have to. I'm not saying be violent when I say sword.
No,
okay?
no. We never promote violence.
Okay, let me be really, really clear. And the creed that we have is in peace. Okay, everything that we're going to be doing is going to talk about doing this peacefully. But there is a mirror of the divine code that's in the Bible that's happening right now, and humanity is struggling with artificial intelligence. To give you a sports analogy, we're in the third inning of a baseball game. When we get to the seventh inning stretch, that is the event horizon. That is where we will not be turning back from whatever path we're on.
Well, we could be the last generation here with freedom. Yeah,
absolutely.
We are in a serious situation here, my friends.
And there's 144,000 tokens for a reason. Those who know me, those of you who know me from years ago, know that I was raised a Reformed Jew. I was bar mitzvahed at the age of 13, and a month before it, and I'll tell the story now, I told my mom that this is not who I am. And I knew that something inside of me, something was wrong, right? So it got very intense for me throughout my life because of it. And I found Jesus because of it. And my family, everyone's surprised and this and that, but I'm not really surprised. I mean, my mother's mother comes from Avalon, is a Protestant, comes from England, okay, came over and was a part of the Kentucky revivals in America in the 1700s. So we founded the town Holmes, Kentucky. So that's what my bloodline actually is, because if you really understand Judaism, you understand it's the mother's bloodline. So I don't have it in me. And my own mother was never really Jewish. So it was the whole thing, right?
It's funny, actually. Because just to make light of this, it's funny because you've left Judaism. I'm actually saving up to be a Jew.
Right. So
hopefully I'll get there one day.
I mean, it's funny, right? But it comes down to what your blood, what your soul tells you. And yeah. I've lucid dreamed a lot. I've done a lot of spiritual stuff, and at the end of the day, my wife said in 2014 she met Jesus. Right? Jesus came to her, literally came to her. And it's an interesting thing going back from her family being Buddhist, and now we're basically, becoming Christian. And I'm going to be soon baptized, and it's going to be a big deal for me and my daughter and my wife and for those around me who know me. And at the end of the day, like I said, on the crusade that's happening, you don't have to be a Christian. You have to live a virtuous life. You have to want to make a difference. You have to want to live. You want to shoot. You want to be shooting above the rim.
It's the same thing. I remember when we were protesting these illegal lockdowns, removing our freedom of movement at the time in the UK. We were very lucky because it was so much more authoritarian in the rest of Europe. We actually got quite lucky, but they were still arresting old women and chucking them in cages. And one thing I noticed is we had every time we marched at the start, it was about 100 of us meeting up in the park in central London. The police would turn up mob-handed, beat us with batons, throw us in trucks. And eventually we got to, over about, let's say, 14 months, we got to 100,000 people in the street. And then it was the tide that pushed it. But one thing I was always impressed by was we were always led at the front after the first few months to build momentum by Christians. They held the cross. And for me, that was quite refreshing. And I've always said to a lot of my Christian friends, we might not have the same faith, but I'll still fight and die with you because we have the same mold.
Values.
Yeah. Should we refresh our palate and watch Fundstrat's Tom Lee, dovish Fed response?
Yeah, let's do that. I got like maybe 5 minutes left.
Okay.
I just want to say, make sure everyone that's watching, please follow me on X at Pulse Nation 369.
Yeah, type it in the chat and I'll post up there. I
gotta build back my followers.
Was it Pulse Nation?
At Pulse Nation 369.
369. Oh,
everyone give me a follow. You'll see what we're going to be doing here in the future. The prediction model that's coming, I'm going to tell you right now, the prediction AI model that's coming is going to be astronomical.
Oh yeah, this is exciting.
We're going to use this to fight the bad side of AI. Okay.
Yeah. So you're about to look at future trends.
Together, the purpose of putting these together, we're going to have our King's Crusade meme. We're going to have the actual order, which is the 144,000 tokens, which is going to have NFTs attached to it. You're going to have a rank. There's going to be this is a proper crusade. And then there's going to be our prediction model that Sammy and I are putting together. And I'm telling you what's going to happen is we're going to predict the future. And
if anyone does want to jump in, by the way, I've just dropped the StreamYard link in the comments.
Perfect. And we're going to use it to offset. I've got a battle plan on the website that you'll all eventually see of what we're going to be doing and how we're going to be doing it on the orders website. But the prediction model, I'm not going to give you the name yet. The prediction model is going to take, let's just say, we're going to be predicting the future. It's the most advanced AI technology on the planet with the most advanced set of knowledge base that's coming to us. And we're going to be able to basically look at the risk reward and the percentages of what could possibly happen in this scenario or that scenario, including sports, by the way. We're going to be doing a whole sports thing too, because there's sports fans everywhere, and why not, right? I'm an athlete my whole life. I can play anything. So I'm not a sports bettor. I never bet on sports in my entire life. But that's where we're going. And then we're doing our ASIC mining thing, and we're going to, expand the whole Pulse Bitcoin, Litecoin. And we're going to hopefully grow the mining hub so we can have, real businesses, real world applications starting their businesses on the ASIC miner hub when they launch their tokens for their businesses.
That's the thing. So you've got DeFi mining. You're DeFi mining a better Bitcoin, because they're big brands that people, when they come over, when we do a 10x, 100x on Pulse Chain, people want to come over and they recognize brands. But I know you got wrapped Pulse Bitcoin. I got in trouble before for throwing shade at them. I don't want to create a war, and I apologize if I was rude to people in the past. But it's not. It's just a copy, right? So sure, it's got value. It's a copy. But if you really are interested in a DeFi, actual workable community run, a better version of it, then Pulse Bitcoin is the obvious choice. It's
an alternative opportunity, is what it is.
Yeah, and as I say, so if we can then mine, just imagine you have your ASIC miner, and you're mining, like say 25 tokens, and you're looking at them. Oh, I'll sell this one. I don't value this one. Oh, what's this one? Oh, this one's interesting, and it's just it's almost like an airdrop every month you're getting. So I think it's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, so we are looking for back-end devs that
we are.
We can trust, that are willing to see what we're doing. You hear what we're doing here today. There's great opportunity here. You'll be part of the team. You'll get tokens, the whole 9 yards. If we got to go hire somebody, we will. But at the end of the day, we'd like to kind of keep it in the family of people that we know if we possibly can. What we're doing is about to be pretty big. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun, and part of it's going to be very serious and very spiritual. And I hope we can change lives. We can exponentially help people in their lives in many ways, not just financially, but, morally in their heart as well.
Let's run Tom Lee's prediction on, not his prediction. Let's see what he said today on CNBC, shall we, before you go?
Yeah. And I'm going to sign off, run this into the end.
Okay.
No worries. I got to run and pick up the wife.
Yeah. So this was an emergency podcast today, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. Let me play this, and I might talk a little bit at the end. But good luck. We love you, and we're going to meet up on Sunday, right? Sunday, and do another one.
See you Sunday. Yep. See you in a couple of days.
Hopefully you'll hear this. Before you go, let me know if you can hear this, because I'm not sure if the audience will be able to hear this.
Okay.
You can't hear that, no?
No.
All right, we'll figure that out for next time. But
all right, figure it out for Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, it's still playing on my screen. But all right, guys, it was so good seeing you all. God bless you all, and we'll see you.
Thanks for the follows, guys. Follow us on X, please.
Oh yeah. Follow him on X. You already follow me on X. That's how you're seeing the stream. But please share. And and if you want to come on and speak to us, let us know. Yeah, because we'll have anyone on. We're cheap and easy. So see you next time.
See you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.